Welcome back to the Represent Podcast. We're here every Tuesday learning how to represent Christ in our modern and always changing world. I feel like I don't say that enough. I feel like that's kind of like the motto or the catchphrase of this whole podcast, but I don't say it much. But representing Christ to the modern and always changing world. I think it's cool because, the thing that makes the world tough is that it's always changing and it's always different. You got people arguing about everything. You got things going on, people switching life, everything is just confusing. I'm getting confused just talking about it. But the idea of this is to teach and learn how can we represent Christ with all the uncertainty around us. And I think the main answer to that question is to rely on the one who is certain. Rely on the one who is never changing. The world is uncertain. The world is changing, but God remains the same. But God is going to continue to be Him. He is going to continue to stand by the word that's been there for thousands of years. I guess that was just a quick little rant before we even started the episode. But yeah, represent Christ, represent podcast. We're here. It's fun. Episode 10. We just hit episode 10. That's pretty cool. Yeah, man. Everything's just weird. And I think looking back at the last couple episodes, just seeing what we're talking about, I think we're on a good track of what I really was hoping for this channel to be about, is just hitting different types of things, different ways we can represent, different topics in the Bible, different just everything. I think represent goes into life, through relationships, through leadership, through culture, through church, through not church, through everything. And I think learning how to represent in all areas is what we need, because we need to be strengthened in the areas where we're weak. If all I do is come up here and talk about faith, if every single episode is about faith, then that's fine. But the people who are strong in their faith, but they struggle in other areas, it's not good. So the reason why this channel is what it is because I want to help us represent Christ, and I want us to learn how to be stronger in all the areas in our walk with Christ, in our leadership skills, in our listening, in our serving skills, in just all of our areas. And I mean, I'm not the best teacher because I have my own weaknesses, but through this, I'm learning for myself, because I'm not going to try to teach anybody anything if I don't know it for myself. And most of the stuff I talk about is stuff that I'm dealing with, or stuff that I'm learning, or things that I'm going through. And I was thinking about leadership and representing Christ that way. I've been thinking about that a little bit, and just the pressure of leadership, the pressure of it, because a lot of people want to be leaders, but then whenever leadership comes, they're like, okay, like there's some pressure when it comes to being a leader. And when it comes to walking through these streets, and when it comes to doing the things in the world that we're called to do, we're called to be ambassadors of Christ. There's some more pressure, because then you start getting a little bit of hate. Then you start getting a little bit of pushback, and it's like, whoa. What is this, yo? Like, I didn't sign up for all this. Well, if you want to be a leader for Jesus Christ, you did. Right? Like, if you want to be a leader for Him, if you want to do what you're called to do, this is the kind of pressure that comes with it. And I think that's what I want to talk about today, is just the pressure of leadership. The pressure that oftentimes scares people away. I think as Christians, we're all leaders. Why do I think we're all leaders? Because it's not us who saves people. It's not us who reaches people. It's God. We're the vessel. So God is a good leader, right? Jesus was a good leader. And if He is the one inside of us, then we shouldn't be worried about us leading anything. We should just be worried about being obedient to what He has called us to do so that He can lead. It's just, the pressure of it comes from a place of insecurity. Insecurity is what I would say is one of the bigger places where we struggle in our leadership. Because oftentimes we're like, well, who am I to lead? What am I doing? I'm not qualified to lead. And what we talked about before is God does not call the qualified. He qualifies the called. God is not calling you because you're special or you know what you're doing or you're good in all these areas. He's calling you because he wants you to be obedient to what he wants. And after he calls you, then he will equip you in the way that you should go. He does not call any of these pastors because they are just great men or women of God. He calls them because they're going to be obedient. And then they're going to learn in the way they should go. And they're going to learn the things that God has for them. So many of us, we allow the pressure of leadership to come over us because we feel like we're not qualified. And we get in our own head and all these different things. There's going to be pressure. There's going to be pressure like we're not good enough. There's going to be pressure from outside noise. All I want us to think about, all I want us to remind ourselves daily, your calling is greater than your comfort. Your calling is greater than your comfort. God does not care about how you feel. He doesn't. God did not call you to be comfortable in this world. What he calls you to is obedience. What he calls you to is, hey, if I'm going to lead you through fire, I'm going to need you to go. If I'm going to lead you to those group of people, I'm going to need you to go. I just don't feel like it. I don't care. Because I got you. And if I'm before you, who's going to be against you? He is not interested in your comfort. He's interested in your obedience. And if you are obedient, then he will lead you in the way to go. And he will also lead you to reach others. But if you're so consumed with your comfort and you're so just inner self worried about things, then you're missing out on the opportunities God has out there. You're missing out on the people he wants you to reach out there. And you're missing out on the things that he wants to do in your own life because you're too worried about being uncomfortable. Your calling is greater than your comfort. We see this throughout the Bible. The Bible talks about, I have it right here actually. In John 15, it says, if the world hates you, keep in mind it hated me first. If you belong to the world, it would love you as its own. As it is, you do not belong to the world, but I have chosen you out of it. That is why the world hates you. Hey, he just straight up. He just straight up in John. Jesus is like, look, bro, it's going to hate you. Not it might disagree with you. No. They going to hate you. Right? He's straight up. But keep in mind, it hated me first. And keep in mind, the reason why it hates you is because I've chosen you out of it. Because you're actually special. Because you're actually called. You're not good. You're not qualified, but you're called. And because you're called, you can do immeasurable amount of things. All you need to do is be obedient. All throughout the Bible, we see this verse play out through humans. We see Jonah. God's like, look, Jonah, I'm going to need you to go to Nineveh. And I'm going to need you to tell these people about me. That's the gist of the story. And Jonah basically is like, nah, because these Nineveh people, they were wilding out. And Jonah was like, in his mind, he was like, these people do not deserve God. These people are so far gone. These people are so wicked. These people are so perverted, so dirty, so all these things. Why would I go and teach them about you? They don't deserve you. And then we see Jonah in a big fish and all this different stuff. It wasn't comfortable for him to go. And in this sense, it was his own mind saying, nah, they don't deserve it. The pressure of leadership for him was he could not understand why God would want them to hear, why God would want to save them whenever they were so broken. You see, sometimes the pressure of leadership is uncertainty. The pressure of leadership sometimes is the unknown. Why? Why are we doing this? Because I said so? In the Bible, I think it's the disciples talking to Jesus, and they don't really know what's going on, but they're like, but because you say so, we will. But because you say so, God, I'll do it. I'll go wherever you want because you say so. It don't make sense. I think it's a stupid idea. But because you say so, right? You can be honest. Hey, I don't know what you doing here, but if you say so, I will. You look at Moses. Moses, the pressure for him was that he definitely was not qualified. My man had a speech impediment. He had stage fright. He just was not a public speaker. And he was called to lead his people. And God's like, Moses, I just need you to be obedient. I'll take over. I got you. I got this. And he was so consumed by, well, I can't do this. I can't do this. I'm not good here. All these different things. And God was like, I can. And I can do it through you. All I need you to do is be obedient. And what do we see? We see Moses do crazy things and lead his people into the promised land. And we see all these wonderful things that God does through him because he was obedient. Calling over your comfort. It's the different pressures for all of us. All of us have our own pressure. Whether it's like Moses and we just feel like we're not really qualified, or if it's like Jonah and we feel like, why are we sharing it with these people? Because they really don't deserve it. Maybe we have the pressure of we're just nervous. We're just nervous because we don't know what these people are going to say. We don't know what they're going to do to us. We don't know. We all have some kind of pressure. And it's not until we face that pressure, it's not until we go against that pressure that we can really see God fulfill the things that he has for us. Let me tell you something. The hard place is the place to be. The hard place is the place to be. Because if you're making everybody happy and everything's going well and everything's all sunshine and rainbows, you're probably in the wrong spot. But hey, take heart. God has overcome the world. So if you're in a spot where people don't like you, some people might be mocking you, things might be hard, people are kind of hating on you, people are disagreeing, people are trying to fight at you, people are trying to do these things, you're probably in the right spot. If everybody does not agree with you, you're probably in the right spot. We need support. We need people to be on our side. We need people to love on us and to support us and to be with us through everything. We need that all the time. But if that's all you're surrounded by, probably in the wrong spot. You were made for the pressure. Pressure makes diamonds. You were made to go into the pressure, into the dark spots to show his glory, his power. And you're holding yourself back because you're scared? Or because that's not your thing? You're just not a leader? Yeah, I'm just not a leader. Like, I just don't want to talk. It's not my thing. That small group's good, but, it's just not my thing to be a leader. God made you to be a leader. You don't just decide to be a leader or not. Like, you were made for this. And so many people are just like, it's not really my thing. How can you lead people to Christ if you're not a leader? They go hand in hand, right? We can't be running away from the pressure. And obviously all this stuff I'm talking about, it sounds big. It sounds like Stephen getting stoned in the Bible. That's what it sounds like. Oh, you better walk into the pressure. You better walk into the lion's den. It's not always like that. But don't hold yourself back because of your nerves. Don't hold yourself back because you think they're too far gone. We were talking about in church this week the story of Saul converting to Paul. You see, Saul, he killed Christians. That was his main goal, is to kill Christians and to keep Christianity from spreading out. Saul later finds Jesus and gets saved and baptized. And then his name becomes Paul. And then we see he's the greatest evangelist in the world, writing most of the New Testament. And everybody talks about that story, and it's a great story. But what people really don't talk about is Ananias. Because Ananias is the one that Jesus called to go get Saul. Hey, Ananias, you need to go to Paul's house and get him and pray for him. And the way our pastor said it was, he was like, nah. Right? Like, if I'm Ananias, nah. Pass. Like, no. Like, you're going to save him just like Jonah and Nineveh, right? Saul, the one killing your people? But Ananias did what God called him to do, regardless of his feelings, regardless of his nerves, regardless of his opinion of Paul or Saul, regardless of all of that. He went. That's all you're called to do. You're called to go. Go. Man. And I just wonder, we were talking about this last episode, how different reports say different things, but some reports say like America is like 60% Christian or 70% Christian, which is just not true. And if it was true, like we were talking about last episode, then why is everything still whack? If 70% of the United States was Christian and we're still living like this, then that just shows that all these Christians are holding themselves back because they would rather be comfortable than walk out into the pressure. You were made for the pressure, fellas and philites. What are girls called? If guys are called fellas, ladies and the fellas. It's what we were made to do. And it is a faith step. It's a faith step to walk into the pressure. Because we, like, again, what we talked about before, we like to stay in here. We like to stay in our own head. We like to stay in our own mind. If it doesn't make sense, why would I go and do it? It don't make sense, God. I don't know why you want me to do that, so I'm just going to stay right here in my bed. And God's like, it doesn't have to make sense for it to be good. It doesn't have to make sense for you to still be called. You're holding yourself back because you just don't want it. You just don't want to be a leader. You just don't want to do these things. You don't want to talk to that group. You don't want to lead this Bible study. You just don't want to. You were made to. Because it's not you who leads, it's God who leads. And the thing about leading is I can't reach everybody. Like, if I'm talking to youth, I tell them, look, I can't go into your math class and find people and tell them about Jesus because I'm not in school anymore. You got to do that. I can't go to every country in the world and tell people about Jesus. They got to do that. You can't go in some of the places that I can go, and I can't go in the places that you can go. So if all the Christians were just simply saying yes, that's what we need. We need yes faith. God ask you something? All right. Yes. Cool. Let's go. We need an attitude adjustment, fellas and ladies. We need an attitude adjustment because for some reason we think we just don't want to do it. We just don't want to lead, or we think, that's really not a big deal. I really don't need to do that. Like they got it themselves. No. Talk to them. Help them. I try to help people all the time who are my age, who are just kind of, I just don't know what I'm supposed to do. I just don't know, like, am I supposed to do the small group? Am I supposed to help these people? Yeah, just do it. Just do it. Nike, bro. Just do it. Just help people. Just do something. Sometimes we just get caught up in our own brain and we're like, am I supposed to do that? Or do I need to do this? And by the time we finally figure it all out, the time is gone. The time has passed. You just got to go. You just have to have a yes faith attitude. Look, ain't none of this easy. It's not easy. We don't want to do it. But once we decide to be obedient, God then changes our desires. Because the things that you don't want to do, you don't want to be in the pressure. You don't want to be a leader, a vocal leader because you're nervous. You don't want to do these things. But once you say yes to God, And once you finally accept the fact, okay, this is what I'm meant to do, and you do it, then God will start changing your desires. And then you'll start feeling good and you'll be like, man, I want to do this. Like, this does feel good. I do enjoy this. I do like helping people understand God. And he changes your whole character, your whole being. But what you have to do is humble yourself. What you have to do is get rid of your pride. Strip away any mindset that you have and leave it at the door and come in as a fresh vessel for God, saying, hey, whatever you want, I'm here. You want me to talk? Let's talk. You want me to serve? Let's serve. You want me to do something, get on my hands and knees and start cleaning? Let's do it. You want me to go talk to them hood boys who clearly need Jesus? All right, let's go. Yes, faith. Yes, faith. That's what we need. That's what America needs right now. It's just Christians who are saying, you know what? I don't agree with what they're doing, but the only way for them to know is for someone to tell them. The only way for the people to know is someone to tell them. And if everybody's too nervous, guess what? Everybody's doomed. If everybody is too comfortable and they don't want to step out of their comfort zone, guess what? We're doomed. Christians are so worried about themselves. They're worried about being comfortable. They're like, what are we doing? America, the world, every day it just seems like something else is coming up. Something else is getting worse. Something else is. And Christians are just like chilling, bro. They just like sipping on some lemonade, watching it all fall apart. Why? Because your home is a lot more comfortable than the pressure outside. Stop trying to run from it. Stop trying to run from the place that you were called to be in. You were called to be in the pressure. You were called to be in the fire. You were called to be in the storm, because the storm of life is the exact spot where we need Christians right now. The reason why it seems like America and the world is falling apart is because Christians are sitting back chilling, watching it all happen. Because we would rather be comfortable than go reach people. We would rather be comfortable than actually have to get up and go, even though we're nervous, even though we're not qualified. God wants you to just go. Not because you want to, but because you got to. Say, yes, God, what's next? Yes, God, let's go. And if Christians had the attitude of just saying yes to God, and we had the attitude of let's go do it. Let's go find people. Let's go help people. Let's go help people see God. Because people aren't just acting out in violence and acting out in stupidity and believing these crazy things that the world's believing in. They're not just doing this because they're choosing to make poor decisions. They're doing it because they don't know. And if Christians would just get up from this state of comfortability and say, you know what, let's go get uncomfortable, then we would see life change within the people all around us. And that is what God has called us to do. To go out into the tough stuff, into the hard world, and reach his people. We got to stop running from the pressure. The thing about the armor of God is all of it like breastplate of righteousness, belt of truth. You got the cool sandals, forgot what they called. You got the sword of the Spirit. All of that covers the front of your body. The only way for you to be protected by the full armor of God is if you're facing the trouble. If you're running from it, your body is exposed to damage. But if you're facing it and you're using your sword, your Bible to fight, you have protection because you're facing the pressure. Your calling is greater than your comfort. God does not care about how you feeling right now. He cares about your obedience. And once you become obedient, then you will find comfortability in being uncomfortable. God wants leaders. That's all he wants. He just wants leaders. People who are obedient. People who are going to say yes. And without that, how can we see life change? Sheesh. How can we see life change, folks? Well, shoot, I guess we can end it right there. This will be a short one, I guess, but I just got nothing else to say on that. I like that. I like that. Stop running away from the pressure. You were made for it. God designed you for it. All right. I guess we'll see y'all next week. This episode was short. Short and sweet, dude. That's how we like it. But Represent Podcast, thanks for coming along. We gon' every Tuesday, everywhere you get your podcast. Follow us on all socials, Instagram, TikTok. You know the drill. YouTube. We on YouTube. You can come watch us on YouTube, you know. You know what it is. Oh, I'm annoying. Okay. Represent Podcast. We're here every Tuesday. Be a leader. Because it's not actually you who is leading. It's God. You are just the vessel. Let God work. Let God do what he wants to do in you. And once you're obedient, you will find true fulfillment and true blessing and true power that God has been trying to give you all along. That's good. All right, Represent Podcast. Love y'all. Peace.